Alright, we should be live. Let me change the thumbnail before I forget, like I always have been all week. You guys are just coming in, we'll get started here in a few minutes. What's going on, Spartan? Hey Alan, what's going on? There were two 80% trades on SPY today. Were there? Let me see. I don't see any today. I think you're just talking about like regular retrace trades. So if it's in the same day, it's just a regular retrace. For the 80% rule, it has to be another day. So like, this would have to lose this level, and then this would be an 80% trade. These trades throughout the day are just these are normal retrace trades. So like balancing out, which I'm gonna go over here in once we get started. Let's see, how's Q's? Let me extend these nodes that we had marked out. Spartan, this is I just finished up a series on like how to trade volume profile. So that's why you're seeing such a big shift in my streaming. I use volume profile the same amount throughout the day that I used to. Volume profile is like one of my pillars, right? Like I was talking about how like traders have like cornerstones. They've got like pillars that they go back to. Like some traders like to use volume profile. Some traders like to use like moving averages. You know what I mean? So like you can stray from that path, but those cornerstones will always be there. So like volume profile is one of my cornerstones, right? But yeah, let's get started. So I gave you guys some levels to watch out for yesterday. I told you guys these two nodes here are going to be very important moving forward. Then we had a volume gap there and there. And then we had, oh, sorry, that was 2 days ago. Yesterday, we just had the value area high, value area low, and a POC. There weren't any other levels besides those, right? So moving forward today, all we had to look out for was, are we trading above the value area high or are we trading below the value area low, right? If we're trading above it, then we're clearly getting bullish. If we're trading below it, we're bearish. So today opened up, we gapped up above the value area high, but then we gapped up right into the resistance that we marked out from, what's today, Thursday, so that would be Tuesday. So these two little levels here that were acting as resistance, these two nodes, we have the POC and then this node right here below that. Those were going to act as resistance for today's profile. So let me hide today's profile, and we can see what kind of happened. We opened up, found resistance, pulled back a little bit, bounced above it, resisted the upper level, pulled back. This was very bullish. So this was the first sign that today was getting very bullish, because you resisted this level, popped above it, and then you used it as support. Okay, so basic trading 101, you flipped resistance into support. That's very bullish. Then we started to resist the resistance again, which was up here on the POC. So that becomes bearish again. And then we pull back, once again acting as support, so that's bullish again. And then once again acting as resistance. So this is trying to be bullish. You can see that it's trying to push higher, but you're just balancing out. So this is a D-shaped day, just like we had yesterday. You can see we're D-shaped. There are a couple of inefficiencies here. So first off, there's an inefficiency right here, where we have that gap. So it's almost creating like a B shape. I wouldn't consider this a B shape. This would be more of a D. It just has an inefficiency right there. And then we have a long tail. So you really could consider this a P shape if you wanted. But what the way I'm grading this, I guess you would say, is I think this is a D shape. It's just slightly bullish. So we have a gap up, and then we have most of the volume towards the high. So it's still balanced. It's just slightly bullish. Okay. But I would still consider it a balanced day. So when you have a balanced day, you're safe to sell the highs, you're safe to buy the lows, right? And if we go back and we look at how today formed, we can see kind of what happened. So like, let's go for the initial balance. The initial balance is D-shaped as well. You do have a long tail. That's mainly just from the gap up. Then we have, let's push this out. We have a continuation of that D shape, a little bit of resistance coming in on the high. So you can see that volume node is starting to build on the high, and then we start to push away from it. So let's see what it looks like down here. Putting up that volume node, shifting the POC towards the high, so that's pretty bullish. Then we pull back to retest the secondary node, and which is also the value area low. So once we retest that, bounce back inside of it, very bullish. That's where you're safe to buy the lows, right? Let's go extend it some more. Okay, shifting the POC again, so now the POC is shifted towards the low. That's okay. We're bouncing off the value area low, bouncing off the POC, pretty bullish. You would be looking for the value area high and then any nodes outside the value area high. So there's no nodes really outside. We got a little tiny node like right here, but no like major nodes. Okay, let's keep going. So we had this, actually, let's pull back a little bit. That little tiny node, like right there, is actually wicked by this candle right here. So that candle tests the node, pulls back inside the value area high, and then you pull back to that volume gap. Let's keep going all the way to live. So we had that volume gap get tested here. That's the inefficiency on the day. We bounced right out of it. So if you guys watched my original how to trade volume profile video, what I told you guys was the high volume nodes, the HVNs, are magnets, right? They like to draw price into them. The low volume nodes are rejection points. So they like to push price away from them. So like this low volume here, this likes to push price away from it. So if it's very bullish, you would come down to retest that gap and then push away from it. All right. So that's very bullish. So once you bounced out of that gap, you could say that today is leaning bullish for sure. We are still balanced. So you still want to be selling the highs until you're breaking out of the highs and creating new nodes. but as of right now, still balanced but slightly bullish. Okay. So let's delete that. Let's go back to this right here. And you guys can see kind of how I use today's volume profile to show you some alerts, show you some trades. And I also used all of our information from the previous 2 days. Okay. So yesterday's volume profile didn't really come in handy at all today, except for right at the open. Right at the open, we gapped up. We wicked down to retest the value area high, and then we bounced off of it. So that was the first sign that today was going to be very bullish. Right. Besides that, we were basically just using, what is that, Tuesday's profile for the entire day. So that's SPY. Let's move on to Qs. Qs was actually way more interesting today. So we have these levels back here on yesterday's volume profile. We had a little node on the top. We had a node down here as well. This node I could extend. These were the nodes that were forming. I did not adjust these once the nodes were complete. But like if I extended this, you would kind of build it out to there. Maybe build it out to like there. This one, that one's pretty spot on. But then we have our value area high, POC, value area low. Pretty standard. Okay. So then we gap up, start to push higher, pull back to retest that high volume node, bounce right off of that node, which is very strong. And then we put in a little volume gap kind of right around 368.54 because we didn't really hang out in that zone for too long. You can see that that zone has a lot of wicks because price is resisting that zone, like it's rejecting that area. So as soon as you come to that area, it rejects it and it pushes higher, right? So that creates like a little volume gap. And then we push higher. We have a new volume gap, which I can mark out right around there. Continue to push higher. We create this massive node on the high, which let's see what it looks like when it was forming. So here's what our profile looked like when we first started to break out. You can see that it started to build a little node right here, a little resistance node, but then that node acts as support. So watch this, you push higher. That node comes in, it acts as support, but Dom actually mentioned this in Discord. This node is actually very unusual because when you popped up, these nodes typically take they typically take a little while to form. This node formed almost instantly. The second that it pushed up into that zone, you had a lot of sellers come in, and that node built pretty much instantly. So that was indicative that the sellers are very strong around 369.70, and they do not want price to go higher than that. They're rejecting that price. Okay. So let's keep going. You can see our value area high is down here as well. So we pulled back to kind of retest the value area high. Let's go forward. Value area high has shifted up, so that makes the test a lot easier. We do pull back to try to test that little volume inefficiency there. It rejects price. So like I said with SPY, when you have these volume inefficiencies and then price comes down to test it and rejects it, that is very bullish. Okay. So nice little bullish bounce there. Let's keep going. Then we finally have, let's kind of see where it shifted. Yeah, right there. Let's see a little further. Looks like it shifted the entire way. Okay. Okay, so it actually shifted the POC higher much earlier. So now the value area low is way down here. POC has shifted. That node has been built out. You can see that node is completely built. We have a little bit of a volume inefficiency below that node. And then we have a volume inefficiency down here as well. So this is making kind of a weird shaped day. It's almost a B shape, but you have like 3 primary nodes. You have a primary node there, one there, and then one there, with 2 inefficiencies. So what happens during days like this is price normally gets trapped between these gaps, which it's kind of doing right now. Because the POC is towards the middle, and then we have gap, it wants to hover towards POC because it tries to push higher, it gets rejected. Tries to push lower, it gets rejected. So it builds out the POC, and this starts to build a balanced day, if that makes sense. Because what it does is it forms this as the primary node, and then you have decreasing volume, decreasing volume. So it creates that D shape. Now, if you want to be completely balanced, you have to fill in these nodes. So we'd have to see a little bit of price action pull down, consolidate, and then push higher, consolidate, and then hover towards the POC. And that would create a perfectly balanced profile with a long bottom tail. So it'd be kind of a P shape. But as far as this section goes, this section would be perfectly balanced. Okay. So let's go back to live. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so notice what happened here. Let's go back. So what did I say? You have this gap here, this gap here. It wants to fill these in to create a balanced profile. So let's go back and look at what it did. You see how it filled that in? There's still a small gap there, a little bit of a gap, but not very big. This gap is still there. So now what does it want to do? It wants to go down. And it wants to fill in that gap because that will create a perfectly balanced node. Okay. As far as this goes, this is pretty much perfectly balanced. You have a little bit of an inefficiency, but pretty much perfectly balanced. This is not. This has to be filled in. And that looks like it's exactly what's happening right now. It's trying to fill in that node. So we could see a little bit of bearish price action here towards the close on Qs. Can you use volume profile with VWAP? Yeah, of course. VWAP is the most used indicator with volume profile. Can you check what happened to NQ today? So basically exactly what I said on NASDAQ. That is the Qs. But we can look at it more on a future standpoint. So if you guys remember what I did yesterday on stream, I gave you guys an idea of how you can use volume profile for more longer term trading, not just scalping, right? So what did I do? I showed you that you can take the volume profile of like entire ranges. So stuff like that, right? So then I have all these nodes drawn out. We've got that node on the POC, the node down here, the node on the high. We have the volume gap. And I think that's it. We have a little volume gap down here as well. Okay. So what did I say yesterday? If we break away from these levels and retest them, it's very bullish. Or if we just break away, period, right? So this node right here on the high, around 15,000, you were acting as resistance clearly, but then we were acting as support on these nodes down here. This was clearly kind of a bullish consolidation, a bullish distribution. And then we had a massive breakout. So now we are all-time high, and every node that we were resisting is now support. So this node became support, this node became support, and now we're forming new nodes, right? So if we looked at this on a shorter time scale, just looking at today, you could see that we clearly have a node building right around here, and then we clearly have a node building right around here on POC. So this node is obviously acting as resistance. This one has yet to be tested, excuse me, as support. So if we come down and test this node as support and it holds above it, then we most likely will break above this resistance node here. Right? All right. So you guys should get the idea. Let's move on to Bitcoin. So we did SPY, we did Qs. Let's do Bitcoin. Okay, so what did I say yesterday on Bitcoin? We talked about this node right here. There was a volume gap right here, no longer there. There's a volume gap right there as well. And then we had the value area high of that day there. So I think we talked about, I don't really remember exactly. But I talked about how if it broke out of that node, it would be very bullish, right? Until you reclaimed it. And that's what we basically did. We broke out of the node. We were very bullish. You found a lot of value towards the high, but then it pulled back. Let's hide this. It tried to use the node as support, but it couldn't do it, right? So as soon as you broke this node right here as resistance and then broke this level right there, that is very bearish, right? And then if we go back to our profile here, what did I tell you guys about 80% trades? If you start to find a lot of value outside of value area, but then you pull back to retest that value area, once you reclaim it, there's a high chance that you will test the entire value area. So once you lost this level right here, there was a very high chance that you were going to go all the way back down to 37.5. And that's exactly what you did. Okay? And then what did you do after that? Let's delete all these levels. I'm going to speed run through this so I can show you kind of what you're looking for. You have like a massive node right here. That's clearly resistance. We have a little node right here. This node you can kind of ignore, but that is a pretty strong node as well. And then we have kind of the POC right here. And then we have like some volume gaps, right? So we can like mark out these volume gaps. So if we ignore today's price action, these are all like the very important levels you would have looked for on yesterday's price action. How you could have used those levels. I can't talk today, Jesus. For your trading today. Okay. So once you started to break this clear level right here, this was the most bearish thing that happened today. And then we started to lose this node as well, so that was very bearish. But then if we marked out our value area low right here, and then let's grab our value area high as well, then that is clearly acting as support. Okay? So once you saw this start to wick and act as support, then we're just trading today's profile. Okay? So let's hide the profile for now. Oh, actually, hold on. I need to see where it starts. It starts right here. Okay, now let's hide it. Okay, so now this is today's profile based on the low of the day. So when it came down to test this value area low, and then it started to reclaim it, so let's take it 2 more candles further. So now, oh, actually, hold on, let's go back. Let's mark out our value area low and our value area high way up here. And then our POC is right on that red line, so we'll just remember that. Okay, now let's push forward. Okay, so we shifted the POC lower, so our value area has shifted. But once we saw it reclaim that old value area low, then we know what to look for. We look for all the resistance levels above us, the POC, the value area high, any volume gaps, any nodes, whatever, right? So we have that volume gap around 38.5. We break that with ease. We had the volume gap around 39.2. We break that. But then we hit our POC, which is right at 39.3. So we hit our POC, pull back, and then we use that volume gap as a support. So what did I say earlier? When you have the volume gaps, they act as rejection points, right? So if price is trading above the gap and then it comes back and it rejects that level, that is clearly bullish. Okay, so we came back to retest that gap around 38.5, and we are rejecting that price. Price does not want to fill in that gap. It's rejecting it. Okay. And what I mean by rejecting is it's bouncing away from it. It's just instantly leaving that area. It doesn't want to trade in that area, right? Okay, so let's push the profile further. Now we're shifting the POC higher again. Once we break the value area high, that is very bullish. If we can hold outside of it, right? So we start to form a little node up here, and then we clearly use that node as support, and we push higher. So now moving forward throughout the day, we've already broken all of our resistance levels from the previous day. You can go back further and grab more levels, but you can also look at today's profile. So today's profile is generating support nodes. So you have a support node there, and you have a support node there. So as long as Bitcoin continues to stay above those support nodes, it's bullish. It's that simple, right? So now if we push this even further, let's go to live. Okay, now we're live. Look at what it's doing. It's still doing it all the way up. Support node, push higher. Support node, push higher. Support node, push higher. Okay, now it's building a resistance node. So now we kind of have an idea of where the sellers are stepping in. So the sellers are stepping in up here. We can clearly see that because you built the node and now you're below the node. So this node is still support because you're above it, right? So these two nodes are your main point of focus. So you want to focus on these two areas right here. In between those nodes, who cares? We don't care about what happens in between that. But above this is bullish, below this is bearish, right? It's that simple. And then below this, we have support there. So we could bounce off that and then break the levels again. We have a rejection zone, a volume gap, and then we have more support nodes way down here. Okay. So if we hide this, let me delete this. I'm gonna delete everything. We're only gonna use today's profile. So this is today's profile. We're gonna ignore everything else. These are all the important levels on the day. We have a node there. We have a node there. We have a small one there. I'm going to ignore that. And then we have a big one here. And then we have a big one here as well. And then we have our value area high, the low, the POC. And then you can mark out like this volume gap right here. It's pretty significant gap. And that's pretty much it. Those are all our important levels on the day. And then from there, like I said, finding levels is easy. From there, it's just how you execute these levels. So right now we're getting pretty bullish because we are holding above this resistance node. So if we can start to like find some value up here, this will start to build this node and we can push away from it. Exactly how we did down here and down here. Right? You're just building nodes, pushing away, building nodes, pushing away. So we like built this node here, pushed away from it, pulled back to retest it, and then it bounced away again. Okay, so clearly bullish. All right. This would not be bearish until we developed a massive resistance node or you completely lost the value area high. Or if it shifts the POC higher, your value area high would be like up here, the value area low would be like down here. If we lose the value area low, then that's also bearish. Okay. The way that I would grade today's profile is very difficult. It is almost like a B, a lowercase b. We have a long tail, and then we have most of the volume towards the low. But this is one of those lowercase b's that is, it's bullish. It's like it's pushing away from that accumulation. So it created an accumulation node, but we're pushing away from it. It's creating an outside day. So we have a big outside day, right? We're way outside yesterday's price action to the top and the bottom. Okay. So we'll look back. I'm going to leave all these levels here. We're going to come back tomorrow. We'll see how they, how price reacts to them. A good example of like building a node and pushing higher was Square today. I called this out in Discord. And look at this. When Square started to pop, oh, well, first I called it out because Ethereum was popping. So Ethereum started to pop, Bitcoin started to pop, and then Square followed, right? So this is a good example of like building a node and pushing away. So it started to build a node, which is the POC, and then you just broke out of it. And you can see here, we just completely smashed that node. Push higher, we built a new node, and then we push higher again. You see how it's doing that? It's building nodes, pushing higher. Building nodes, pushing higher. But then, this becomes resistance. You have a massive node forming up here, and it's struggling to push higher. So then look at what it does to price. So once you start to see this node forming, and you start to push away from it, that's very bearish. And then it's also very bearish because what do we do here? We lose the value area high, right? So once you lose that, you have a big node above you. Then you're looking for the standard trade, right? You're looking for the POC and the value area low. And any nodes or gaps in between, you could also target those. Those are more advanced, obviously. Let's keep going. POC shifted to the high on that big node. We have a massive price inefficiency right here, which we are currently testing. It's drawing price into it. So like, look at how this is reacting compared to what we were looking at earlier. What was it? Was it Qs? Yeah, so you see how Qs bounces off this this price inefficiency and immediately bounces higher? That's clearly bullish, right? But then look at how we're reacting on Square. We try to bounce higher, puts in a flat top, and then loses it. This is clearly bearish. It's trying to reject this area, but it's not doing it. It's actually filling it in. So if I push this out, you'll see this node start to fill in. Watch. You see how it's filling in? It's much smaller than it was before. See that? Now go in. It's filling in the upper section. Now it's going to go trying to fill in the bottom section. Why does Square follow Bitcoin and Ethereum? They have a lot of Bitcoin holdings. And they have crypto payments as well, I believe. Square also owns... Does Square own Cash App? Square is Cash App, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so Cash App has the crypto system where you can buy and send crypto. They're not exactly a crypto company, but they do have crypto holdings, so they react to Bitcoin. Do I know why GC fell significantly over the last 3 days? Because it's dog shit, man. Gold and silver are just complete dog shit. We tried to trade gold and silver this year, and we got absolutely burnt. Because we were going for the inflation trade like everybody else was. We were betting on gold and silver going up with inflation, and they're just getting smacked. So, if I could say anything, it'd be to remove gold and silver from your watch list. That's what I did. And it saved me a lot of money. We made a lot of money on silver last year when it was pumping. We were trading diagonals basically all the way up. And then we gave away pretty much all that money this year on gold and silver. Trying to do the inflation trade. And it's just come to my attention that I am not a commodities trader.
Certified dog shit.
Yeah. They will not be going on my watch list anytime in the foreseeable future. But if we want to talk about it from a volume profile standpoint, let's kind of see what happened today. So we already went over yesterday. So just using like these levels here, we can kind of see what happened today. There's no gaps here, so we don't really need to draw any gaps. Okay, so let me get rid of this. Actually, I keep forgetting it's 24/7, so let me see. This is where the day starts, technically. Okay, so what did we see happen today? We have these two major nodes, and then we have value area high, value area low. Okay, so we start out, we're just balancing out inside this node, just filling the node in some more. Try to lose it, gets bought up, so that's clearly bullish. And then you fail this node, fail it again. So this is clearly bearish. Double topping on a resistance node, and then you have confirmation once you break that node right there. And then you even retested it. You broke it, retested it, failed, retested it again, failed. Right? Let me zoom in. You guys can see what happens. Resistance, support, resistance, double top, break, support, retest, fail, fail. So just basic 101 trading, right? We have a support, we have a resistance, we have a support, so we have two supports, and then we have two resistance, so it's like 2 for 2, not too bad, just kind of balancing out. But then we have a loss of the support, so now there's 3 bearish scenarios, 2 bullish, and then we have 2 more bearish scenarios. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bearish scenarios compared to 2 bullish scenarios. So today is clearly bearish. And then on top of that, you lose the value area low. So it's even more bearish. And then on top of that, you come back to retest it and you lose it again. So the only time you could have been bullish today is when we were bouncing kind of down here off that, or trying to reclaim that node. Everything else is bearish. Just a dog shit day for a dog shit commodity. You actually almost... So now if we go back even further, we can see like, okay, what are we bouncing off of? We can go all the way back to here, and we can find the closest value area to where price is. So actually, this is a good point. So somebody asked me, how many days do you typically look back? How many days do you grab levels? And I told them I typically like to grab the closest day, so like this day here, and then one day above price and one day below price based on value. Right? So like we could grab this day because it's the closest, and then we would grab these levels here, and then these levels here. Does that make sense? Because this is above us value-wise, this is below us value-wise, and then this is the closest relative day. Everything else is overlapping. These are all overlapping, so we ignore them. Ignore overlapping levels. Okay, so closest, one value down, one value up. Okay, so we can grab this value area here. We can grab the POC as well if we want. So we know that if we lose this like range low, if we lose this support, these are the levels we want to pay attention to. So then what do? We bounced off that POC and the value area high as support. So for now, it's bullish above this level, bearish below this level, right? So like you're safe to buy the lows here, you're safe to sell the highs around here. Everything else in between is chop. You ignore this, buy the lows, sell the highs. Or you could buy the breakout, buy the breakout.
Deja.
Yep.
You see what Johnny just posted about Apple?
No, let's see.
Apple plans to have iPhones detect child pornography, fueling privacy debate. So they're going to be looking into people's phones now.
Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty fucked.
They obviously already do, but
Yeah, now they're just blatantly saying it. The stuff with that, the companies are always very smart, right? So, like, when they do stuff like that, they want to start with something that you can't complain about. Like, who's going to complain that you're looking for child predators? You know what I mean? No one's going to complain. So they always start with something where you can't complain, and then they just go further and further and further and further. Because you know damn well if anyone complains about that, they're immediately going to say like, "Oh, why are you defending child pedophiles?" That's always how it goes. Did you see what Apple did after they announced that? They've been going down.
No.
They've been going down all day since they posted that.
Kind of figured.
They retested this trend line though. This trend line's pretty nice. I'll take a look at CL. He said on today's 1050 candle on Qs, would you attribute that pump more so to it breaking all-time high, or it breaking the first hour volume area or value area? Sorry. Does breaking the first hour value area generally tend to result in bigger moves? So, let's go to Qs. So you're talking about the initial balance if you're talking about the first hour. So let's see. So the initial balance would be, I'll mark these in black so we can see where we're looking. So that's the initial balance. Okay, so right here, we break out of the initial balance and we break into an all-time high. Yeah, so when that breaks that level, that's just your first sign that today is going to be very bullish. And then you don't have any levels above that because you are all-time high. So what you have to do is you have to find value, right? So when it's finding value, people also call it like blue sky breakout, whatever you want to call it, right? Like you're in an area that has not been tested before, so it has to find value. So breaking out heavily that's not rare, right? Because it has no resistance. It has to find it. That's why and you called this out, that's why when this node formed, it formed instantly. Because that was basically people finding value. They found value there. The sellers agreed that that was a good price. And they unloaded. And that's why it sold off, or that node built so quickly. Because from here to here, there is no resistance. It's all-time high. So you're finding value. And then it just nukes and builds a massive node in the span of 5 minutes. You can see how big that node got in literally only one candle. That is damn near the POC in one 5-minute candle. If it traded there for like 5 more minutes, that would have been the POC. So yeah, that was just a bullish breakout finding value. That's why it was going up so fast, because there was no resistance. Didn't you say that lined up with some fibs as well? Like if we take a fib extension here, what does that line up with? Yeah, that lines up with the 50. So when you're trading an all-time high, you can use the fib technique to find targets. And then there you go. This would have been your target area. And you topped out right on that first level. So if we break this tomorrow, look for 371 and 371.36. See how messy my chart's getting already? This is with pretty much no indicators too. Let's take a look at oil. So oil has been getting wrecked the past like week, but look at what we did today. This is very, very bullish. And I actually didn't cover this in our series. I probably should have. I think I might have covered it a little bit. I think I did actually. I think I covered it a little bit. But what I was gonna say is like, if we ignore price and we just look at the volume profile, we can kind of see what's going on here, right? Increasing value, massive decrease in value. And you took out every single value area throughout this entire move up in one day. This was a very bearish outside day. Okay. And then we have a complete shift, right? Increase, decrease, decrease. So we're shifting. And then once again, decrease. But then look at what we do here. Increase. So this is the first day from this impulse down that we are increasing in value. We're not completely increasing. We're still an inside day. So it's just accumulating. So this is still an inside day. So don't get too excited just yet. But if we were to pop above this level, what is that going to give us? That's going to give us an 80% trade. So if we pop up here, hang out, that's going to give us an 80% trade. 80% technique, not price, right? And that will be very bullish because then our value will be completely shifting. We'll have decrease, but then shifting, increase, right? So the market is shifting bullishly.
Dude, Facebook on fire right now.
It was looking really good earlier. So that's a really good sign. Who was asking about this? Alexander? That's a very good sign that you are starting to bottom. You are finding, or you're trying to find value higher. You're not doing it just yet. You're still accumulating. But if we break out of this in the next couple of days, this will be reversing. That's also a very good way for you guys to like practice is hide your candles. Hide your candles. This is what Sierra looks like. Sierra charts doesn't have candles. It's just volume profiles. So like if you hide your candles, look at how the day is playing out with just the profiles. And like by just looking at the profiles, we can tell what's happening here. We don't need the candles. The candles help. The candles help by showing how the profile formed. Like, was that started at the low? Was that started at the high? We don't know, right? But you can see what's happening by just looking at that. And we'll go over that later when we do our Sierra charts walkthrough. Look at this, SPY breaking out finally. So SPY, there, another one of my alerts just went off. So SPY was balancing pretty much the entire day, and now we're breaking out of balance.
Dude, if we get a close up here, this thing's gonna send it tomorrow.
It should. Yeah, definitely should.
Facebook is gonna send fucking SPY to the moon, bro.
Facebook's going for the gap fill. It's almost done already. It's halfway done.
Oh shit! Just start propelling now.
Send it, fucking Johnny Dips.
Chewy, man. Chewy is looking really good. Okay, Chewy is actually a perfect example of what I was just showing you guys on oil. So you have the value topping out right here, right? The value tops out, and then you nuke. Okay. So this got faked out, and then you nuked lower. But then look at what we did here. We had massive decrease in value. We tried to go lower, right there. But then we pushed up and increased our value. So this is a clear reversal pattern. If you guys see this on a volume profile like ever, that's a clear reversal pattern. topping out, swing failure. This is a swing failure because we can see that we tried to push above the high, but then we failed it. That's a swing failure. So this is where candles come in handy, because if we didn't look at the candles here, this could be a breakout, because like you could have started down here and then you pushed up, right? And then you closed up here. The day could look like that. But when we look at the candles, we can see that it started up here and then nuked. Okay. But yeah, so this right here, very strong reversal. This is a swing failure, so swing failure of the low, 80% trade complete, and then increase in value. Entry there, target there, and then now we have a complete shift in market structure. And then look at what we've done since then. Increase in value, increase in value, increase in value. And we don't have any failures. Knock on wood, we're in Chewy, so hopefully it keeps up. But like right here, so like this becomes weakness if we lose this area. But we're bouncing off of it. So Chewy should keep going higher.
Johnny dips, apple's green.
What?
Apple just ticked green. Johnny fucking dips.
Yo, how the yo?
He's out there
Yo,
slaying
end of
dips.
day.
Slaying dips.
Yo, look at Netflix about to break 525 finally.
Telling you, bro, 530's pre-programmed. Nice reversal pattern on PayPal. You see that, Deja?
Let me see. Yeah, PayPal and Chewy, they kind of like faked us out in the beginning, but they're paying off now. Yeah, PayPal's doing really well. Didn't it bounce off a pivot? Yeah, there's a pivot down here. It bounced off this pivot literally to the penny. There's a pivot back on February 5th that extends all the way out. And we bounced off it like damn near to the penny. It's also on a fat-ass Ichi cloud. It's also bouncing off monthly VWAP.
Mara's starting to break out.
Qs and SPY are ripping right now.
Could send everything.
So watch this node. This node came in very fast earlier today on Qs. If it breaks this node, it should be extremely bullish.
We just broke 525.
Send everything, Johnny dips. Send it all.
If this isn't a strong close, then I don't know what is. 5 minutes left.
Fucking send everything, Johnny.
All SPY needs is Tesla to get back pushing, and SPY's just gonna rock it.
What has Luna been doing? I keep seeing people talk about Luna.
What, the crypto?
Yeah. Look at that
Dude,
thing, dude.
Couldn't tell you the last time I looked at a crypto chart.
I know.
Months.
Bounced off monthly VWAP and just ripped. How'd the bot handle this? Oh, the bot slayed this, dude. Absolutely slayed. It shorted the entire way down. Had one buy that had a nice profit, but then it pulled back. Faked out a sell, but then it massively caught that that buy.
You gotta get that thing automated, dude, so I could just throw money at it.
Yeah, I know. I need a fucking. I tried to log into Alertatron the other day, and their website was down. They wouldn't let me reset my password. It was all fucked, dude.
Dude, these websites love doing that to you lately.
Oh, I know. I've been getting reamed. They rug me every fucking week.
Yo,
The bot is still long on SPY. We're breaking a resistance right now too.
Yeah, SPY's gonna close at an all-time high.
just hit it.
Send everything, Johnny Dips.
What are you in right now, Johnny?
Balls deep. What you want to know?
Let me guess. Tesla, Netflix, Apple, Facebook, Neo, Can, SOS,
He's in Mara 100%.
Mara. Are those all correct?
Yeah, except for SOS. I got a lot of SOS on that little pop last week. And all of that, yeah. I just believe that Tesla's move is not done yet, and we're still closing above 7-Eleven.
It's nowhere close to being done.
Hughes doesn't like that node again.
Tesla's going up to the next volume node after that huge fucking breakout.
Look at Mar breaking out end of day 31.54.
Come on, Q's, break this node.
Look at that bounce on Tesla.
Once Netflix reclaims this monthly VWAP at like 528, 530, it's gonna rip. What just came in on my call scanner? Wasn't too much action on the call scanner today, guys. We had WW 1.3 million. This was a this is an earnings play. They've got earnings coming up. Home Depot about 500,000. Everything else was pretty small. Yeah, about less than 100K really.
There's the bell.
There's SPY, fucking all-time high, baby.
Did SPY hit all-time high?
Yes, sir.
It did. Look at that breakout. Did Q's break the node? Okay, so Q's closed right above that node, guys. So, what you want to look for tomorrow? Have that node already marked out, so you're looking for that node to hold as support. We have the POC node, so that's obviously going to act as support moving forward. We have these volume gaps down here. So if we re-break this node, look for immediate support here. If you don't find support there, then right around this volume gap around 369, and then 368.50 is another support. And then if we lose that, there's nothing really supporting you until you get down to the gap fill.
Bro, look at CRM. CRM fucking ripped today too.
And if you are playing the bullish side, you're just watching the nodes form. Like I said, you watch them build the nodes. Once they form, that's what you're using as your next support, right? Next target would be around 370, and then 371, 371.30. And then on SPY, same exact thing, basically. Just watch all your nodes as support. watch for the new nodes coming in, and then you can either use fib targets, or you can use just basic price action using the nodes as your warning. But all right, guys, I'm getting off. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch, follow on Twitter. I will have the analysis posted pretty late tonight, so watch out for that. And then make sure to watch out in the morning tomorrow. I will have all the alerts set up for SPY for the volume profile alerts. Okay. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.